Okay, you're back up.
Okay, so hopefully everybody will join back in. I will give everybody a few minutes just to find the fresh stream. So I won't go rushing too far ahead. Is that up and sorted?
This is running through the. Yes, it's just got the titles from what we've already put in. So
That hasn't posted anywhere though, because it's posted to a page that you manage.
it's posted pretty as gritty.
Sure. Okay, so hopefully that's working, and if not, we will upload it later.
And Linda says morning.
And morning, Linda. And I did see Tracy pop up before, so hopefully Tracy will find us back on YouTube again. So, without going too much further into what I have here, let's get started. So I'm going to start off by painting her hair. So to do that, I'm going to start off with a base coat of the Wipeout, and then down towards this bottom section here, I'm going to be using Dazed, and up into the roots I'm going to use a little bit of Thunder, and I may even bring in a little bit of the Gritty Slate paste just to try and darken it down a little. So let's see how we go. So as I'm starting with a base coat, I'm going to be using a flat brush, and I'm going to try and cover the area nice and evenly, and then we can blend our colours back into it. So because I'm going to be wanting to blend our colours a bit, I'm just going to concentrate on one half of her hair first. I'm going over the top of my gel medium, so I'm not trying to go around it or avoid sections. And I'm putting on a fairly thick layer. Now, Wipeout has...
Say good morning to the Pretty Get Gritty group again for me.
Okay, morning to the Pretty Get Gritty group.
I think it's only just gone live. It's playing me up. Sorted now.
Okay, so we've had a few technical issues just getting it where it needs to go today. So this is a follow-up to the live that I did last week. So if you want to catch up with that after, you can do. And I'm just using Wipeout as a base coat. So before that gets too dry, I'm going to grab my Dazed. I'm going to go straight in. I'm just going to bring that up from the bottom of the hair.
Lynette says morning, so does your mum.
Morning Lynette, morning Mum. And I'm just going to gently bring that up. So if you've got these areas that are slightly darker, that's absolutely fine, because that's going to help look like hair. So as I'm coming across, I'm lifting lighter and lighter, and you want to try and follow whichever direction you want your hair to go in. So I want that bit darker just there. Now these are quite translucent, so if you want to go back after and add something that's a bit stronger, you can do. But I'm just going to gently blend this in, so I'm using a really light touch.
Sally Ann says morning as well.
Morning, Sally.
Sally Ann's on YouTube. Jane says good morning as well.
Morning. So there's our first bit of colour, and again I'm not going to clean my brush, it can be naughty. And I'm going to go to my Thunder. So good, I haven't even opened this one yet. Nice fresh bottle paint. There we go. So I'm just going to give it a little stir, just so I can get a bit of paint on my brush. And I'm going to go almost slightly to the side of where my Wipeout is. Because there's a little bit that would be lighter in that parting. Now I'm going to turn my canvas round, so don't try and twist your arm in ways that it won't go. Turn your work. And if you get to that point you're thinking, okay, I don't want it to go that dark. Are you having issues?
No, you are.
Why am I having issues?
Because your phone's just gone to low power mode.
Oh. Let's get a little bit of that wipe out. That's because it's not getting enough charge. I told you it was playing up. And I'm just going to brush that back in. So I'm brushing towards that grey. So it's going to pick up some bits of grey and then it's going to clear others away. Just going to brush a little wipe.
Do we swap the cameras over quick?
Yeah, yeah.
I can have yours on charge over here. Let me just put this on to airplane mode. Do not disturb.
So Ian's just going to swap the cameras over in a minute. We won't go anywhere. You'll just see that it's a swapping camera sign go up.
No, it won't. You just go black and it'll go back. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cable's back out.
So hopefully you can still hear me, even if the camera's misbehaving. And I'm just going to gently...
It's got white bit here.
Yeah, because I put the white background in, didn't I? I'm just feathering that parting and taking the excess off my brush.
Right, give me 2 seconds. Let's get this right because it's now gone.
Loopy.
And it's now just got a tiny image because it's.
So again, I'm going to go back to my grey and just touch in any bits that I want to go slightly darker again.
Why is it so small? What have you done to my camera?
I haven't done anything, I just sat here.
Bear with me, peeps.
Right.
Don't need that on.
Just brought in a little bit of that grey into that bottom section. So hopefully you can see there that you're starting to get
Don't need that on.
a little bit of a feel. How close do I need to get it for it to be seen?
To be seen at the moment, you need to have it very close because it's not even on the screen at the moment, so just bear with me, dear.
Okay.
Apologise for the cameras, it's been annoying.
I take a few days off and that all hell breaks loose.
Yep. Okay, camera needs to rotate, it's not rotating. Rotate down here. No, okay, I'm going to do it on the screen.
Do 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 do
There we
do.
go, that's better. Right, now let's go.
Okay.
We're getting there. Hang on.
So
A couple of seconds and we'll be back on the screen.
do 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 do.
There we go. Beautiful.
There we go.
We are back.
We get so eventually.
People.
So I will show you that again for the other half anyway. So
No, I haven't lost the knack of breaking things, Lindy. Carol, you're quite right.
so again, I'm going right up to that dark section.
Yeah, Mum's I can still hear you. Yeah, that's alright. Right, let's get your phone charged.
Yeah, my phone's having a nightmare. Bless it. Okay. So I've done the hair first rather than doing this flower first, because obviously if we did it the other way around we'd have to try and cut in around the flower. Whereas we can just go straight over the top of it and then paint it back in after. So I'm going to pop a little bit more of the wipeout on there.
And then it says perfect. Hey!
Hallelujah!
One of those this one.
Okay. Now I'm going to bring that purple again from the bottom up. And like I said, I'm not worrying about where that flower is at this point.
What is using up your phone battery so quick?
Check the background data does not switch itself back on. Okay, going to go into the grey paint, and this time we've got our kind of faded line here. We're going to give it a gap and then go along there, like so.
Tell us how you're feeling now, Nat, and it's nice to see you out of bed.
It is nice to be out of bed. How am I feeling? That is a jolly good question. Still pulls a little, doesn't that?
Yeah.
So I've tried to do as much as I can do work-wise, but it's not been perfect. So I'm going to just put a little bit of the wipeout back on my brush, and I'm just going to flick back into that grey. And then back down. And you want to try and keep your angle stroke to match where your hair will go. So just going to tap lightly on these bits here and blend that a little bit better. So this side would naturally be a little bit darker anyway, because we've got this really light patch over here. And then I'm just going to blend in.
And we have Sue as well, if you want to say hello to Sue, who's new.
Hello Sue! So I'm going to just tap along with a bit of the parting here.
And Tracy's up on YouTube at the moment.
And that's going to soften that a little bit. There we go. So she at least starts to have a little bit of hair. I'm going to use those same colours just to go back into her eyebrows a little bit. And same over here. That's starting to look a bit more like it.
Just turned a load of apps off doing background for.
So you can start to see which bits are going to sparkle and which bits are going to be a bit more subtle. Let's give my brush a good clean.
Couch of morning to the newbie. Sit back and enjoy joining the conversation and ask many questions as you want. We are a friendly group.
We are indeed.
And Tracy says that is beautiful.
So, last week we did a lot of work with the explosion powders, and I'm thinking it'd be nice to just bring in a little bit of that back into this lower section. So let's quickly pop these lids back on, because it's quite warm in here today, so we don't want things drying out too much. And I just put the wrong one on there. Wonder why it wasn't fitting very well. Oh dear. Nearly there.
Wrong with back in.
Yeah. There we go. So, I have here a little palette pad. And there's a few tips and techniques that I'm going to be using this for over the next week or so, isn't there? Because there's lots we can do with it.
Yeah.
But for today, I'm going to use it as intended and actually use it with my explosion powders. So I'm going to put a little bit of powder onto my palette. I'm going to get my gel medium. Now before I go and put too much on, I'm just going to separate my little pile here. And let's get a little bit of gel medium for this side. And the other side I'm going to do with water. Okay, so let's mix that in. So you'll notice I'm doing this with quite a small palette knife, and that's because I'm going to want to do a little bit of detail with this next section, rather than actually filling in a stencil. So if you want to keep this marbling in, you can do.
Can I just ask, what is gel medium? Is it like Mod Podge?
Yes. Yeah, so you can use it to adhere your rice papers, you can use it as a resist. There's lots of techniques you can use gel medium for. So, can you see that on screen just there, Ian, or am I starting to wander off a bit?
We can see your palette, and your picture's a little bit off if you want to bring that up a bit higher.
Okay,
Which bit are you aiming for next?
I'm aiming for there.
Up a bit.
Up a bit.
There we go, that's better.
Okay, let's just move these flowers out of the way. So I'm going to go into this eye section next to my gel medium. And I'm pushing my palette knife so that I'm actually shaping that gel medium. Now this will take some time to dry like this, where we've got these thicker sections. So it's something to bear in mind that you do this bit when you've got nothing else kind of going over that side. And I'm just following the stamp. Okay. Now what I would say is, if you're doing this at home, you can give yourself a bit more room and just rotate your artwork around so it's a little bit easier for you to get your angle.
That's what a great technique.
And it's really pretty too, because it pulls out all those different pigments that are in the explosion powders.
Because if you just started at the top and work down.
So I will have to move it around just for this last little bit, but hopefully, can you just about see that on screen, Ian, or
Where you're heading?
where my palette knife is? Down there. Can you see that, or is it a little bit off?
No, you're okay.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that centre section clear, and we can always put in a little gem or a different colour with the gel medium once that's set a little bit.
Jesus, it's half robot, half human.
So then you can start to see the kind of depth that you're going to get. So if you look at this side here, that's your kind of flat stenciling, whereas you can really build it up much more in depth. Now this is always going to be tricky live, because obviously now that is going to be wet and thick, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm just going to wipe that off my palette knife. And let's go for, let's go for this one over here. Now, with your stencil, move it around till you get the kind of shape that you're trying to fill. So I want to go sort of in this section here. Now, because I'm using a stencil, I'm going to go for a longer palette knife. That's going to help us create a much more even layer. So I'm going to move my finger outwards. And hopefully we'll be able to still pick up some of that little variation in the pigments. As your gel medium dries, it's also going to go more translucent, so that's something to bear in mind. So if you then want to pick elements out with a pattern of green, you can do. So there we go, mirrored that section here, up here. There we go. So I'm just going to wipe my palette knife. And let's get a paintbrush. Okay. And this time I'm going to go into my other little pile of powder. And you can see how the different mediums are going to change that colour. So here it's gone really soft and lilac. Now we've got more of a plum colour. And I'm going to come back in and I'm just going to darken this lip area again. Because now that it's dried I can see that it's not quite dark enough for what I want.
I mean, how much more you get as well, isn't it? Because with the gel medium it went quite thick and it spread out quite a lot. That's where with the water it sort of clumped into one.
Yeah, you can't. Bear in mind that the palette will also make a difference as well in terms of that. So.
Then it's just found us on YouTube as well.
Yeah, joys of streaming software when it behaves.
Yeah, when it behaves. Yeah, we're also on Twitch and Natalie's Facebook group as well. So I have 3 different screens going at the moment, just keeping an eye on everything.
So hopefully you can see this okay. If not, tally in off.
No, we can see you. Yeah.
So I'm coming in under her chin so that she gets a little bit more definition just down around her neck and stuff. So when you're using it with water like this, you can treat it a bit more like watercolour. So if you want to do a little bit blending with a damp brush, you can. Let's see if I can get a bit more out of that first. There we go. So you don't want it too wet.
And I was wondering who I kept talking to because you couldn't see any other comments. Yeah, that's why I've got it streams to like Natalie's Facebook page, The Pretty Gets Gifted, and it also goes out to YouTube and Twitch. So when it works well, it's a good.
It's a good system.
Good system.
So I'm just going to bring in a little bit into this section here. So I'm just trying to create a bit more of a form for her shoulders. Like so. Okay. So far so good. If you want to do a little bit more shading to her eye as well at this point. Now that that's dry, we can do a little bit, certainly to the bottom and the outside. Try not to let drops of water kind of sit anywhere though, because otherwise as it starts to dry you can get a bit of a watermark where you've got your 2 layers sitting on top of another. Yeah, like that.
If you wanted to show it as an example, you get things like that, don't you?
So you get things like that start to happen. Which you might want to go for, but in eyes, generally no. Okay. The other thing I look for at this point is areas that I might want to add a bit more contrast in, such as round a hairline here.
Move it up just a little bit if you're doing it. Or turn it around. There we go. So I don't you remember mine behind.
Just yeah. No.
Just what difference that makes with the lips and chin being darker. It looks 3D effect now.
Yeah, so shading is really important. Now you'll notice I haven't done any extra shading around her nose yet, and that's because, for two reasons. I don't want to accidentally knock my gel medium, but also I'm going to be a bit more subtle about how I do the shading for those areas. So I've pulled out some pastels, but when you're working with pastels you want them to be the last thing that you put onto your canvas, because they can interfere with your pens, for instance. So if you're going to use any kind of felt tip or alcohol marker or paint pen, just keep them away from pastels. They are like, just no. How to run a pen.
I apologise to Carol. I will try and speak up for you.
Are you mumbling again?
Yeah, apparently she can't hear me.
Okay.
It's all by design.
So I'm going to get my gritty slate paste. And
Get another mic.
this is one of my favourites. Maybe I might let you. And I'm just going to get my brush and go straight in. And let's see if I can. Yeah, that's pretty dry now, to be honest. Let's pop that there. So hopefully you can see that okay here, Ian?
Yeah, I think so. Where are you heading? You have to wait for it to turn around, otherwise it's... Yeah, it's fine.
Might put a little bit out on here and make it a little bit wetter actually to paint with. Just because I know I want that colour, but it's just a little bit thick for what I need it for, so let's give it a bit of, there we go. Come on, we're getting there slowly. So the palette pad is a bit like wax paper, so it's the type of thing you might find on the back of a sticker. So it's very much non-stick. So you can use it for things like you're applying your vinyl, and it's not very expensive. So if you're working with something that you know is ruining your palette, it's a good way of being able to use those. It's still a little bit too light.
£2 from the works.
I'm going to add a bit of thunder just to darken that down a touch. There we go. Because I just want to do my lettering. And if it takes 2 or 3 layers to get it to the depth you want it, that's okay too. So you definitely want to be using a round brush for this, so that you have that nice point that you can get into the details. And pick a bit more paint on the end. Try and apply it a little bit thicker. There we go. So bits where it's going over dark backgrounds, I don't mind it being a bit lighter. But where we've got these lighter areas, I definitely want it to go darker. Contrast is everything. If you go over the edges, you can just wipe it away with a clean finger or cloth if you don't like getting your fingers mucky. Okay, so we're nearly there. Then we can get on to applying our die cuts. And hopefully you can see that our gel medium is just starting to set a little. So I'm going to keep my paint there waiting. Just pop my lid back on my paint. And let's bring in a few of the pieces. So with these, I know I want to keep them as is, so they're going to be one of the last things that actually get stuck down. But I'm going to position them there so that I can do my other elements. So I think it'd be really nice to put some that are kind of down in this bottom section here. And building up that corner there. And to mirror that, I'm going to put a couple up like that. So can you see that all okay, Ian?
I think so. Maybe move it up just a touch.
Okay. Just going to put that on there. Oop.
It's a little bit close off the bottom.
Just do that one and then I'll move it up a bit more so you can see. So I'm just going to take these two back off because I don't want to stick those down by accident.
That's it.
And just going to stick that one there. Stick that one there. That one just there.
You could use your gel medium to stick these down, couldn't you?
Yes. Yeah. I'm just happening to use this one because it's got a nice fine nozzle. Okay. Give that another little mix. Now,
If you used a lot of the gel medium, would it give it like a layer underneath it, so it gives it like a 3D effect if you had quite a thick layer of gel medium underneath it?
yeah, so like I did with the mousses in the one.
Yeah, so it would build up, so if you put something on top,
Yeah,
then it would rest on
squidge.
top rather than squidging down. You would.
Yeah, so I'm just going to tap this over the top. And tapping is going to give you a different texture to if you obviously smooth it over the top. So then when we come back in with our patiner, it's going to start to pick up that texture underneath. Now for these top ones, I'm going to go back to my brush and I'm going to brush over the top. Now bear in mind this is still drying, so it is still slightly moving. So just be really light and gentle. Like so. Okay. So I'm going to stick that in water so they don't set and lift that up so you can see that texture a bit better. So now I'm thinking, do I want to put my flowers on? So I out-sorted some flowers in case I decided I was going to put them on. So
That's the shimmer it gives on it.
yeah, it does really give a lovely shimmer. I'm thinking I might do a couple of these flowers. So I'm going to trim the wires off the back as flush as possible. I mean, it wouldn't be me if I didn't put some kind of flowers on it, would it?
Yeah. I bet there's a blooming lovely.
what I will do with these ones is, because they're not quite the right colour for what I want, I can actually use a little bit of explosion powders on them in a minute to tone them back. So this one I'm happy with, so let's stick this one first. Just going to give it a little fluff because where these things sit in packaging, it's always a good idea to give it a little fluff. And I am, as long as it's going to tell me it's okay to use. 1, 2, 2. So give it a bit of time to warm up.
You want to show it so people can see it? 'Cause it's funky, isn't
there
it?
you go. Funky glue gun. USB-C chargeable. Cordless. And I like it. And it will tell me when it's ready too, which is always good. It's ready really quick. Okay, so I'm going to go up to this top corner, I think. And there we go. Makes a lovely noise. And I'm just going to hold it there for a moment. Okay, next one. Just going to pop that one there. Again, wait, and
Why is it flopping? Doesn't usually do that, does it?
usually I pop it back in my glass jar. There we go. So there's that one. And I can turn it back off, pop it back in its glass jar, and that can carry on cooling down. So you can use a hairdryer to get rid of the strings of glue gun if you need to. This one's gone straight through my gel medium, typical. There we go.
Yeah, it is a hot glue gun, Carol. It's cordless, so it works off USB-C charges, and then it's got a power switch which tells you when it's ready to go, and then you just press the button at the bottom and it dispenses glue when you press the button. It's really quite funky.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you can be kind of tempted to be over heavy-handed with the trigger, isn't it? So just do it a little bit and then it comes through with its own accord. It's quite free-flowing. So before I used Artemis to do our little explosion powder bit, this time I'm using Mars, which is the colour that we had in the background here. And I'm just going to bring in a little bit of colour. Need a little bit more water in that. There we go.
Yeah, it
more
still
like
uses your standard glue sticks as well, so it just takes the... Do you want to just show that on
Yeah?
your glue stick? Can you just show that for me? Because Carol asked.
Yeah, just a standard mini, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Whereas my other one takes the big glue sticks, which is great for when you're working on like MDF pieces. Like I do a lot of storage MDF and big pieces of MDF kits and things. But that one's really good for getting into detail and without having to have tug of war with the stand. I'm just brushing this on really carefully. You don't have to do it perfectly. And if you want to even include a little bit of the Artemis as well, I'm just going to add a little bit in at the bottom to give it a little bit of depth. So, and go and there.
Mind that little blob of glue you've got on your pan.
Again, just going to get in there and just pop it up a bit, like so. There we go. Mop that one.
Yeah.
It's already set, I think. It's one of the joys of using a glue gun, that. And I might even just do a little tiny bit just down in there to give it a little touch of sparkle. I'm nearly ready to do my pastel bits. Don't think I'm going to include any more pen, which is the really important bit. So I'm going to rotate this around just so that I can access where I need to go a little bit easier. I'm going to grab a couple of cotton wool buds and my pastel palette. Okay, so I have swatches here that can help me. So especially where you've got something like this where it's marbled, it's always a good idea to have some swatches. And I think to start with I'm going to go right to the black, which is tourmaline. And let's go here. And this is where we're really going to start making her face look a lot more 3D. So with pastels we can do lots of really light layers rather than going heavy-handed. So it's really good if you're building up your confidence with your shading to just practice with your pastels. Now I'm going really careful around the edges of my flower because I don't want to accidentally pick up any of that gel medium on my cotton wool bud. Like so. So she's got a bit of shading there. And again, the light's coming from this side, so this side's going to have a bit more shading to it. But rather than do it in that black, I'm going to go a little bit softer. And let's go to the red jade. So this is more of a dark pink. I'm going to do a fair layer of that first before we introduce any other colours. Now I'm going to go for a kind of lilac-y colour, and I've still got the pink underneath. I'm just going to very lightly blend that in. And I can use that same bit down the side of the nose, just there. If you want to put a lip under here too, you can do. And we can even go with a little bit of black. So I'm being really kind of light taps with it rather than being heavy. Okay, so I'm now thinking I want to pull out some of this blue. So I'm going to swap ends of my cotton wool bud. And let's go to a kind of, yeah. So I've got a mix of blue halite and lapis lazuli. So these are all pearlescent pastels, so they're all going to have a touch of sparkle. Because sparkle is good. I'm going to go round right by her eyeliner. Now, if you want to define your eyelashes after, I would say that you would have to do that with a paintbrush. And some ink.
Could you use a fine liner?
No. No, you definitely want to keep your fine liners well away from your pastels. So I'm just going to pop up a little bit of colour just there too, so that we can start to introduce a bit of that blue tone underneath the highlight. I'm going to rotate my cotton wool bud, so I'm starting to use a clean section, and I'm going to go for rose quartz, which is a nice light pink, rather than the white.
Joined us as well.
And I'm just going to go and put that straight under her eyebrow. So this is where we can start to get a bit more heavy-handed, as we want to make this bit pop forward, and then just blend it out as we get into the nose section. There we go.
Say hi to Louise.
Hi Louise.
Carl's put on the naughty step.
Oh, for being late. There we go. So I've just put a little bit that same highlight colour on the tip of the nose. I'm just going to take a little bit, really subtly, up the nose. So just slightly off centre. Just make it look a little bit more 3D. Now we've got this little bit of light section just there. So let's go back to our pink. I'm just going to knock that back a little.
Would you
Like
pick
so.
the pens work?
No, anything that is a pen, keep
No.
well away from your pastels, because it will block your nib.
Oh, okay. I think 'cause they have the metal nips, don't they?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Don't ask me,
So-
don't front me. I'm just
You don't ask, you don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm just going round her hairline with a browny colour, just to try and give that hair a bit of a 3D effect. I'm going to do the same around here, and then there. So as your gel medium's going to dry, you're going to see that it's going to start going darker, and it's also going to go more translucent.
And Pam says she's not used to pastels for ages.
It's one of those things that when you go back to it, it's like, why on earth haven't I been doing this? Because you can get some really lovely shading effects with pastels. There we go. So as you're working with metallics, try to keep rotating your work in front of you so that you're seeing it from all angles, because it can be really easy to kind of watch in one place and think, oh, I've got the shading perfect, and then you tilt it and you go, oh, nope. So,
Carol's been sanding and staining 3 8-foot 3x3 posts this morning before class. Random.
okay, so I'm just popping a little bit more of that browny colour just into the bridge of the nose. There we go. And with that, I think I am nearly done.
You're going to add your 2 flowers
Yep,
at the side.
add me 2 flowers and that's it. Then what I will do is, once this is all dried, I will add my patina. But you want it to make sure it is absolutely thoroughly dry before you do that. So let's go for this. Get rotation right. I think I'm going to go that way. And you could use your glue gun for gluing these bits too.
Yeah, Pam says she's beautiful.
There we go.
And Carol says just another small DIY job before I'm just scrape sand and then paint the windowsills if the weather plays nice.
Sheesh. There we go. So, which angle looks best then, Ian? Because obviously, you know, it's one angle to me, it'll be one angle to everybody else.
That's good.
There we go. Job done. That's one way of doing quality control on a sticker series. dear, your poor hubby. Okay.
There you go. All lovely and very nice, like the metallics on it.
So what I
It's
will
fantastic, thank you, Nat.
What I will do is allow this to dry and then hopefully pop the pattern on it later, and I will put the photo with it all finished off. So what chalks are they? Okay, they are the Jane Dunport Mineral Eyes, which are like marbly pastels. So it's a really good idea to do yourself a little swatch list onto something that is pretty much what you would usually be using it on. So I use some illustration board, I think. But obviously, you don't always have to use illustration board.
Sue says thank you.
That's okay. So we'll be back on our channel tomorrow.
Don't know, 'cause we got channel.
It'll be tomorrow, but it'll be late
Maybe
tomorrow.
in the afternoon,
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be a late one. So take care for now, and